Straight ahead on CCX News, almost ready. The impact of the Robbinsdale Hy-Vee under construction and what it means for other development nearby. Plus, taking a youthful approach, how local VFW posts are trying to attract new members. And later, we'll take you to an Osseo cemetery to reveal some things you may not know about the city's history. CCX News starts right now. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. It is hard to miss if you've driven along County Road 81 in Robbinsdale recently.
Construction of a new Hy-Vee grocery store continues, and city officials are excited about what it will mean for the area. We get more now from Eric Nelson.
Now you've actually got a structure and there's lights on, so a lot of anticipation, and people are asking, all right, is it really going to open up? They know now that something's going to happen quick.
Behind the bulldozers and mounds of dirt, a grocery store is rising from the Robbinsdale soil.
It's going to be exciting to have down there.
Hy-Vee is coming and is expected to open sometime between mid-September and early October.
Having a local grocery store in Robbinsdale back again will be great. And just having another place for people to gather, whether, eating, setting up meetings, just be a nice community space there as well.
Hy-Vee should have an instant impact along the County Road 81 corridor and could become a major player in Robbinsdale. The Iowa-based grocery chain will also provide many jobs.
Initially they said close to 500, but I think for long term certainly upwards of 300. So it'll be pretty significant for Robbinsdale.
With Hy-Vee moving into the neighborhood, County Road 81 is getting an upgrade, which is why the orange barrels came out earlier this week.
They closed one lane on 81. You'll notice when you drive by, they're installing a stoplight and an entrance right there on 81 for Hy-Vee.
Getting to this point was not easy. Leveling the historic Terrace Theater to make way for a grocery store caused a lot of acrimony in Robbinsdale. But now the city is focused on the future.
It was a battle, and it was something as a community it was a struggle to get through, but we are where we are, and I think moved on.
The presence of Hy-Vee is expected to foster future development in this area. Look for apartments and retail to go up sometime soon. In Robbinsdale, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
The Crystal City Council had the task of doling out penalties after several businesses failed liquor and tobacco compliance checks. Broadway Pizza, the Crystal, VFW, Super America, and Cub Foods were 4 businesses who police caught selling either alcohol or tobacco to minors. The City Council recommended penalties ranging from $400 to $500 with no license suspension. Councilmember John Budashevsky voted against those penalties, indicating they were just too low. He says they don't cover the $750 average cost of doing the checks, leaving the taxpayer to cover the rest. One business, Liquor Liquidator 3, had its second alcohol sales violation within a year's span. That business was fined $1,500 and given a 3-day suspension.
Well, now to an update on a tragic story involving a 6-year-old girl who her family believes took her own life at a Brooklyn Park foster home 4 years ago. According to court documents made public this week, the family will receive more than $1 million in damages. The story of Kendrea Johnson is a painful reminder of the challenges in Hennepin County's foster care system. $1.5 million settlement was reached with the girl's grandmother. Her attorneys called it a victory, saying it spurred the county to reevaluate how it handles the needs of kids in foster care. The county also issued a statement saying, quote, "We are here to protect children, and we do that every day." And it goes on to say settling this lawsuit was in the best interest of all the parties involved. The grandmother originally sought $20 million in damages. For more than 100 years, the VFW organization has provided services and a sense of camaraderie for veterans who fought overseas.
But membership in Minnesota's VFW organizations has dwindled as veterans from more recent wars have decided not to join due to old stereotypes. As Delane Cleveland reports, local leadership hopes to reverse the trend.
This past Memorial Day, members of the Palmer Lake VFW gathered at Mounds Cemetery in Brooklyn Center.
Cherish tenderly the memory of the heroic dead.
To honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
Who made their hearts a barricade between our country and our foes.
It's just one of the many programs that members of the VFW organize throughout the year, according to State Commander Rick Bugbee.
We've had a lot of great success with the programs, and we love our programs.
Bugbee was in Brooklyn Park Thursday for the annual VFW State Convention, where officers plan to elect new leadership. And if you talk to the man expected to replace Bugbee, He says that when younger generations think of the VFW,
Richard Hansen.
Memorial Day ceremonies aren't usually the first thing that come to mind.
The organization has a stereotypical history, if you will, of old veterans sitting around the post drinking liquor and telling war stories and that kind of thing, and that's not what we're all about.
As a result of that stereotype, Minnesota's VFW membership has dwindled to about 38,000 members, after being as high as 86,000 in the 1970s.
I don't want to see this organization die, and consequently, the younger veterans are our answer.
That's where people such as Janelle Wilson come into play. She served in Iraq for 2 years as a member of the Minnesota National Guard. She's now a member of the Palmer Lake VFW in Brooklyn Park.
I could always rely on the VFW to help veterans that were in need, so that's a big reason why I joined, because I knew that they would help and they were always there for the community.
It's now her goal and the goal of many of the leadership at this convention to sell the benefits of the VFW, such as camaraderie and access to veteran services, to the younger generations.
This isn't just a post where older veterans come to and sit at the bar. No, we're more than that. We do community events, we're out getting active, and we want everyone involved.
Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
The incoming commander of the Minnesota VFW says his goal is to increase membership by 10%.
A big change is coming to one of Crystal's most popular community parks. City officials broke ground at Welcome Park on Thursday night. It's the first park improvement to come from the city's recently approved park master plan. Centerpiece will be a new softball field complete with lights and irrigation. And to make it fit, workers have already closed part of Welcome Avenue that runs right through the park.
When we went through the master planning process, we were looking for a location for a bigger softball field. The ones at Becker Park will be removed next year, so this park was really the best spot to do that. But to make that field fit into this park, the road needed to be removed. Home plate is going to be only a few feet from the edge of where the road used to be.
And city officials say work on this park signals the start of a 20-year plan to improve parks in a way that doesn't run up debt for the city.
We will be saving for the following phases, so to speak. Right now we've got this park and we've got some ideas for Becker that will be instituted next year. Then beyond that, we're going to have to take a breath and save some money before we move on for the rest.
Mayor Adams says the city has surplus land that will be sold to help pay for the parks. Well, still ahead, our final look back on the legislative session, including the possibility of new opioid treatment legislation.
Plus, the Wayzata baseball team swings for another trip to the state tournament. That's later in sports.
But first, the chance for more storms on Friday.
A DFL state senator from Brooklyn Center says the legislative session was difficult for anyone with a moral compass.
And for the third year, Senator Chris Eaton worked to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable for the opioid epidemic. But in the end, no new funds were allocated.
It's very disappointing. I mean, like I've said to many people, the people of Minnesota lost. And the special interest, Big Pharma, Medical Alley, the Chamber, all who had lobbyists at the Capitol in droves, won.
Other local projects that did pass include funding for converting Highway 252 in Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park to a freeway. MnDOT has announced about $130 million toward that $163 million project. And Senator Eaton is also pleased that Brooklyn Center will get some of the $10 million in funding to improve metro area regional parks. She expects the money will be used by Three Rivers Park District to improve trails in Brooklyn Center.
Connected trails to the rest of the system, so that'll be good. That's a lot of people use them. I know it goes right through my neighborhood, so a lot they're well utilized, and I think that's positive.
Senator Eaton vows to continue her work on the opioid epidemic. She says depending on how the November elections affect the makeup of the legislature, she will either bring it back to the legislature next session or she'll talk to the Attorney General about a lawsuit against the big pharmaceutical companies. Still ahead, a cemetery in Osseo that's brimming with history.
But first, the Maple Grove girls lacrosse team plays for a section championship. John Jacobson has the highlights next in sports.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. The Benilde St. Margaret softball team is in the state tournament for the second time in 3 seasons. The Red Knights meeting Hill Murray in the Class 3A quarterfinals Thursday morning. Bottom of the first inning, the Pioneers' Jana Whitney chops one to third. It's off Hannah Nichols, who comes home with the throw. Amber Peterson scores, and the Pioneers lead 2-0 after 1. But Benilde comes right back in the top of the second. Nichols blasts one to deep center, and it carries for a solo home run. The Red Knights added another run in the inning to tie the game at 2. Bottom of the second, and Allie Clark singles to right field. 2 runners score. Maria Sauter and Caitlin Korn both come in. The Pioneers are back on top with a 4-2 lead. Hill Murray adds 5 more runs in the third inning. The big blow, a grand slam to center field by Lindsay Snyder. Hill Murray goes on to win 10-3. Benilde drops into the losers bracket at this taping of CCX News. Section titles were on the line for a couple of local baseball teams Wednesday. That included Wayzata in Section 6-4A. Brian Kelly in St. Louis Park, the Trojans' opponent, after Park had beat Hopkins. Leading 1-0 in the fourth, Wayzata's Tom Grishala bunts. The throw to first missed for an error and gets away. Charles Engdahl held at third, but watch this. The Orioles don't throw the ball back in, and Engdahl dashes home and scores to make it 2-0 Wayzata. Some heads-up base running there. Pitcher Sam Westermeyer sailing along until the 5th when Riley Dvorak pounds a hit to the gap in right center. 2-run score on the play on a double for Dvorak as the Orioles offense ignites in a hurry. It's 2-2. But Westermeyer gets a chance to respond as a hitter, and he makes the most of it. His drive clears the fence in center for a solo home run, and that gives Wayzata a 3-2 lead. They win at 4-2 and are headed back to state for a 3rd straight season after going unbeaten in the section tournament. Totino Grace entered the final round in the Section 5-4A baseball tournament without a loss in the postseason. They faced Moundsview, with the Eagles needing just 1 win to advance to state. Top of the first, Moundsview's Jake Christopherson with a hit to score Ty Kane and cap a 3-run inning for the Mustangs. They pile on the runs all game. Top of the 4th, Ben Bateman laces the hit to score Joey Lawson and Channing Cole for an 11-3 lead. TG rallies in the bottom of the 4th. Carter Gier rolls the hit to score Quinn Gurman, and it's 15-9 Moundsview. Christian Morale slices a hit to bring home Zier. The Eagles get 7 runs in the 4th and cut the lead to 15-11, but they don't score any more, and Moundsview wins this to force the if game. In the second game, bottom of the 3rd, Kane strokes a low pitch for a hit. Bateman hustles home, and it's a 2-0 Mustangs lead. Bottom of the 5th inning, Cole Stenströms with a hit from Moundsview. Jonas Sparks is held at third, but the throw in by the Eagles gets away, and Sparks zips home, and it's 4-0 Moundsview. Grace commits 8 errors total in the 2 games. Eagles fans put on the rally caps, but it doesn't happen. Kane closes the door, and Moundsview is the section champion. They win game 2, 4-0. They're headed to state. Several local lacrosse teams played for spots in the state tournament Wednesday night. That included the Wayzata boys. They faced off with Elk River-Zimmerman in the Section 8 final. Nice give-and-go play here for the Trojans. Brooke Hansen to Braden Nelson. Back to Hansen for the 3rd quarter goal. Wayzata way up already in this game. Andrew Solly with a nice feed to Hansen in front for the 3rd of his 3 goals in the quarter, and Wayzata takes a 14-2 lead into the 4th. Wayzata's playing some great lacrosse right now, and they dominate this game. Nelson with a laser shot for the goal here. He scores 3 goals in the night. The Trojans win 17-2. Teams will be seeded Friday for the state tournament, which begins on Tuesday. In the Section 8 girls final at Osseo, top-seeded Maple Grove took on Buffalo. Early second half, the Bison's Casey Roman converts on the pass from Callie Stumplow to pull Buffalo within 2 goals at 5-3. Maple Grove's Emily Herdine answers that, picking up the ground ball and scoring one of her 6 goals in the game, and giving her 67 for the season. Nice run from behind the net by Maple Grove's Jerzy Baranek. She scores, and Maple Grove's in front 7-3 midway through the second half. Buffalo has 1 more rally left in them. Erica Oborski's goal from the free position makes it 7-6. That's as close as they get. Maple Grove wins 9-6, and they advance to state for a 3rd straight year. That is all for sports. Back to you, Shannon and Mike.
All right, John, thanks a lot. Up next, a celebration of history.
What you may not know about this Osseo cemetery when we come back. One of the most serene spots in Osseo is celebrating a milestone anniversary this year.
And Neil Persley takes us for a walk among the tombstones of Niggler Cemetery.
This cemetery was established in 1868. It started with this plot of land back behind me and then was expanded later with a donation from Rudolph Niggler, who was one of the early settlers in the area.
Osseo traces its roots to a large contingent of German Catholics. Many of those early settlers are buried in St. Vincent's Cemetery in the far northeast corner of the city. But in 1868, a sect of German free thinkers decided it needed a cemetery for everyone else.
And they established this cemetery so that it would accept people of all faiths, of all denominations, whether they were religious or not.
At just under 4.5 acres, Niggler Cemetery is tucked in a quiet, unassuming southwest corner of Osseo. The list of family names here are a who's who of Osseo history.
We have Osseo's longest term mayor, which was Victoria Joyner. She was a mayor for 54 years. Most of the earliest settlers of Osseo are buried here.
And this Saturday, the cemetery is celebrating its 150th anniversary.
We'll have a short little program at 3 p.m. And we'll have some activities to encourage people to wander around and learn a little bit about the cemetery while you're here.
An outstanding opportunity to learn a little more about Osseo's history. From Osseo, Neil Persley, CCX News.
And the 150th anniversary celebration is this Saturday again from 2 to 4 p.m. at Niggler Cemetery. And that'll do it. That's it for now. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone.
And we also want to say congratulations to all the high school graduates out there. A lot of graduations going on. We'll see you here tomorrow.